The American driver pumps roughly 135 billion gallons of gasoline every single year. That is enough fuel to fill an Olympic swimming pool every 40 seconds around the clock for 12 months straight. And here is the thing the industry does not want you to think about for even 1 second. The vast majority of that fuel leaves the refinery, rides a pipeline for hundreds or even thousands of miles, sits in a bulk terminal, gets loaded onto a tanker, and pours straight into your engine without a single independent quality check along the way. Gas used to be gas. That is not true anymore, not even close. Since direct injection engines took over the new car market around 2010, the difference between a clean fuel and a mediocre one has gone from a rounding error to an engine-killing disaster. We are talking about carbon hemorrhaging onto your intake valves at a measurable rate. We are talking about injector tips coking up at 60,000 miles when they used to last 200,000. We are talking about engines that should run 250,000 miles on regular gasoline now eating themselves alive by 90,000. Here is what the station owner on the corner will not tell you. He does not test his fuel. He has never tested his fuel. He has never even seen a sample of his fuel under a lab light. He trusts the terminal. The terminal trusts the pipeline. The pipeline trusts the refinery. And nobody is verifying what actually ends up in your tank. Translation: every time you pull up to a random pump, you are playing refinery roulette with a $4,000 fuel system and a $12,000 engine hanging off the end of it. But there are exceptions. 5 of them to be exact. 5 gas stations in North America where somebody, somewhere in the corporate chain, actually bothers to verify that the gasoline you are buying is the gasoline you are paying for. Everybody else is gambling with your engine. And stick around until the end, because the #1 station on this list tests every single tanker load before it hits the underground tanks. And one of the biggest names in the country did not make the cut. Let us get into it. Number 5. Costco gasoline. We are starting with the one that surprises everybody. Costco. The warehouse store, the place you go for a 48-pack of paper towels and somehow leave with a television. Here is the thing, Costco gasoline is not just cheap. It is genuinely, measurably clean. It has been top-tier certified since 2007, which means it meets a detergent standard originally written by BMW, General Motors, Honda, Toyota, and Volkswagen because the EPA minimum was, in their own engineering words, not enough to keep a modern engine alive past the warranty period. Costco's Kirkland Signature Fuel uses a proprietary additive package that independent labs have measured at roughly 3 times the EPA detergent baseline. Translation: 3 times the cleaning agent scrubbing your intake valves, your injector tips, and your combustion chamber on every single firing cycle. Over 12,000 miles of driving, that is not a rounding error. That is the difference between a clean top end and a carbon-choked mess. And get this, Costco's real advantage is not chemistry, it is accountability. Every gallon pumped at a Costco station is sold to somebody holding a membership card with a name, a phone number, and a credit history attached to it. 1 bad batch, 1 water contamination event, 1 off-spec delivery, and they are not losing a walk-in customer who shrugs and goes somewhere else. They are losing a $65 annual renewal from a family of 4 who will never forgive them and will tell every neighbor on the street. That fear shows up in the protocols. Costco fuel is sampled at the terminal before delivery. Deliveries are logged, batch-tracked, and audited against corporate specification. The company has quietly built one of the tightest chain of custody systems in American retail fuel. And it did it without a single television commercial bragging about it. That is the part that tells you they are serious. Marketing budgets lie. Operations budgets do not. The real kicker is the price. Costco is routinely 10 to 25 cents per gallon cheaper than the branded station across the street. You are getting bulletproof detergent chemistry for less than what the off-brand discounter 2 blocks over is charging for mystery juice out of a rack terminal. Bottom line, if you have a Costco membership and you are not filling up there, you are paying more money for worse fuel. That is not an opinion, that is arithmetic. But if you think Costco's system is serious, wait until you see what the largest oil company in America does before a single drop reaches your tank. Number 4. ExxonMobil Synergy. ExxonMobil is a founding member of the top-tier program, not a late joiner, not a marketing adopter, a founder. When the automakers sat down in 2004 and said the EPA detergent standard was not enough to protect their engines, Exxon was in the room with a pen and a refinery portfolio to back it up. Their Synergy fuel uses polyethylamine detergents, PEA chemistry, the most aggressive carbon-cleaning molecule in commercial gasoline. PEA does not just prevent new deposits from forming. It actively scrubs off existing ones at operating temperature. Translation: Synergy Fuel can take an engine that has been drinking rack terminal garbage for 60,000 miles and start cleaning it up over the course of a few weeks of normal driving, assuming you run enough of it through. Here is where it gets truly interesting. ExxonMobil operates some of the largest refineries on the continent. Facilities in Baytown, Baton Rouge, and Beaumont that process hundreds of thousands of barrels per day, and Synergy's chain of custody is almost entirely vertical. The fuel is refined at an Exxon facility, moves through Exxon-controlled logistics, is stored in Exxon-monitored terminals, and delivered under Exxon specification to branded stations. That level of vertical integration is rare in the fuel business, and it is the single biggest reason Synergy quality varies less from station to station than almost any competitor on the market. Exxon also publishes OEM partnership data that most consumers never see. They run multi-thousand-mile durability tests with automakers on intake valve deposit reduction, fuel economy retention, injector flow consistency, and combustion chamber cleanliness. These are not marketing slides. These are the engineering documents automakers cite when they write the fuel recommendations into your owner's manual. And get this, the consistency story matters more than most drivers realize. An Exxon station in Phoenix in August, pumping fuel into a car sitting in a 115-degree parking lot, and an Exxon station in Pittsburgh in January pumping into a cold-soaked engine at 10 degrees are both delivering fuel built to the same corporate specification, with seasonal blend adjustments engineered for each climate. That is not true of most brands. Most brands are a logo bolted on top of whatever the local terminal happened to have that morning. Bottom line, ExxonMobil Synergy is the gold standard of vertical integration. You are not buying a logo. You are buying a supply chain that somebody actually controls from the ground up. But before we get to the brands that spend more on detergent research than some companies spend on payroll, we need to talk about what you are actually buying at every other pump. Contrast interlude, the mystery terminal problem. Here is what most drivers do not understand about gasoline logistics. The majority of unbranded and discount stations in America do not have a refinery. They do not have a pipeline. They do not even have a dedicated supplier relationship. They buy their fuel from what is called a rack terminal, a shared tank farm where multiple refineries drop off base gasoline for whoever wants to buy it that day at whatever the spot price happens to be. That base gasoline meets the EPA minimum detergent requirement, and that is it. No proprietary additive, no detergent boost, no top-tier package, just the legal floor, pumped into a tanker, and driven to a station that charges you 10 cents less per gallon and calls it a deal. And get this. The exact same rack terminal often supplies both branded and unbranded tankers on the same day. The difference is that the branded tanker pulls up to an additive injection skid on the way out and gets the proprietary package blended in. The unbranded tanker skips that step entirely and drives straight to the station. Translation: you are saving $1.50 on a fill-up and running a fuel with 1/3 the cleaning agent of a top-tier brand. Your intake valves will send you the bill in about 50,000 miles, and it will be a 4-figure bill at a dealership service counter. Number 3. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus. Now we get to the brand that probably spends more money on fuel chemistry research than any other retailer on the planet. Shell. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus is a nitrogen-enriched premium fuel with a detergent package engineered specifically for modern direct injection engines. The ones that are famously vulnerable to carbon buildup on the intake valves because no fuel ever touches them during normal operation. That is the dirty secret of direct injection. The fuel bypasses the valves entirely and sprays straight into the cylinder, which is great for efficiency and horsepower but disastrous for valve cleanliness. Port injection used to wash the valves clean on every cycle. Direct injection does not. Shell built V-Power Nitro Plus to fight that specific problem. Their fuel R&D program employs actual PhD chemists at dedicated research centers in Houston and Hamburg. They run both independent and in-house testing on intake valve deposits, and the published IVD reduction data for V-Power is some of the strongest in the industry. We are talking measurable carbon removal over a few thousand miles of normal driving, the kind of cleanup that used to require pulling the intake manifold and walnut blasting the valves by hand. And get this. Shell is a founding top-tier member and holds the certification across its entire gasoline lineup, not just the premium grade. Your regular 87 octane from a Shell pump is still meeting the top-tier detergent floor. The mid-grade 89 is meeting it. The premium grade just adds the nitrogen-enriched heavy artillery on top for drivers who want the cleanup treatment in addition to the prevention. The real kicker is that Shell operates on nearly every continent, and their fuel science is shared across markets. A formulation improvement tested in Germany on a turbocharged direct injection. Engine running 200,000 kilometers of Autobahn abuse gets rolled into the American additive package the following model year. You are benefiting from engineering research you never paid for, conducted in countries you have never visited, on cars that were tortured harder than yours ever will be. Bottom line, Shell is the industry's North Star of retail fuel chemistry. If your car has a direct injection engine, and if it was built after 2015, it almost certainly does, running V-Power on a regular basis is one of the cheapest preventive maintenance habits you can build into your driving life. Hey, if this investigation is giving you the information you are not getting anywhere else, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like. It tells the algorithm that consumer-first automotive content still matters, and it is the only way we keep pulling back the curtain on the stuff the industry would rather you never learned. Number 2. Chevron. With Techron, let us talk about the most famous additive in the history of American gasoline. Techron. Chevron's Techron is the PEA detergent package that set the standard the rest of the industry had to chase. It has been around for decades, it has been reformulated multiple times as engine technology evolved, and it is so effective that Chevron sells it as a standalone bottle you can pour into any tank at any time. Think about that for a second. Chevron is so confident in their detergent chemistry that they will sell it to you separately in a plastic bottle and let you dump it into a competitor's fuel. That is a level of engineering confidence you almost never see in this industry. That is not marketing bravado. That is peer-reviewed, borescope verified, tested by strangers' chemistry. Here is where it gets truly interesting. Because Techron is sold as a standalone product on store shelves, it has to perform in controlled, repeatable tests that any consumer with a camera and an engine can verify. You cannot fake a bottled additive the way you can fake a branded pump experience. If Techron did not actually clean intake valves and injector tips, somebody with a borescope, a junkyard engine, and a YouTube channel would have exposed it a decade ago. Nobody has. Because it works, and the before and after videos are all over the internet showing exactly how well it works. Chevron is a top-tier founding member, and every drop of their gasoline, regular, mid-grade, and premium, ships with Techron blended in at the terminal under corporate specification. The additive concentration is not a suggestion. It is a contractual obligation between Chevron corporate and every branded station in the country, audited and enforced. The real kicker is the OEM relationship. Several automakers specifically recommend top-tier fuel in their owner's manuals, and Chevron's Techron research is cited in technical service bulletins when dealer technicians are diagnosing carbon-related drivability complaints on customer cars still under warranty. Translation: if your car is coughing, stumbling, hesitating, or throwing misfire codes at 90,000 miles, there is a real chance the dealer's first move is to run a few tanks of Techron additized fuel through it before touching a single bolt on the engine. That is how much the industry trusts the chemistry. Bottom line, Chevron is bulletproof detergent chemistry with the longest track record in the business. You are not paying for a logo. You are paying for the molecule that most of your competitors are still trying to reverse engineer. Here is something nobody at a discount station wants to discuss. Underground fuel tanks leak. Not always outward, sometimes inward. Groundwater infiltration is a documented problem at low-volume, poorly maintained stations, and when water gets into modern ethanol-blended gasoline, it causes something called phase separation. The ethanol bonds to the water and drops to the bottom of the tank as a cloudy, useless layer, which is exactly where the pump pickup line sits. Translation: you are not pumping gasoline. You are pumping a water-alcohol cocktail that will stall your engine before you make it home, strip the lubricity out of your high-pressure fuel pump, and in some cases trigger thousands of dollars in fuel system damage. There have been class action lawsuits filed over this exact scenario. There have been cars towed off station forecourts on flatbeds, fuel systems drained and replaced, and insurance fights that dragged on for months. And the stations involved almost always share two traits: no proprietary additive program, no independent testing protocol. They trusted the terminal trusted the delivery, and the delivery ended up in your fuel rail on a Wednesday afternoon. Which brings us to the one station in America that refuses to trust anybody, at any step, under any conditions. Quick question before the number one reveal. Which station do you actually fill up at? And have you ever noticed a real difference in how your car runs on one brand versus another? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and the regional patterns are genuinely fascinating. Some brands are quietly excellent in specific parts of the country and quietly terrible in others. Number 1. QuikTrip. The number one gas station in America for fuel quality testing is not the biggest chain. It is not the most advertised. It is not even national. A lot of you watching this from outside the Midwest and the South have probably never even seen one. It is QuikTrip. Here is the thing. QuikTrip has a corporate culture around fuel quality that borders on genuinely obsessive. They are top-tier certified, they run a proprietary additive package, and they routinely top independent customer satisfaction studies for fuel quality in region after region. But none of that is the reason they are number one on this list. The reason is the tanker protocol. At a QuikTrip location, when a fuel delivery truck pulls up to unload, the fuel is not automatically accepted into the underground tanks the way it is at almost every other station in the country. It is tested first, right there on site, before a drop goes into the ground. A sample is physically pulled from the tanker compartment, checked for water content, checked for grade, checked for specification compliance against what QuikTrip ordered, and only then is the load approved for offload. If the sample fails any check, the tanker turns around and drives away. That load does not go into the ground. That load never touches a QuikTrip pump. That load never touches your fuel pump. And get this. This is not a quarterly audit. This is not a once-a-month compliance theater performance for the regulators. This is every single delivery, at every single store, on every single day the company has been in business. QuikTrip built its fuel reputation one rejected tanker at a time over the course of decades, and the fleet operators who run commercial trucks through QuikTrip pumps know exactly why they keep coming back load after load after load. The real kicker is what this protocol says about every other retailer on this list. Costco tests at the terminal. Exxon controls the entire supply chain top to bottom. Shell and Chevron enforce additive specification through contractual audits. Those are all extremely serious programs, and they deserve the ranking they got. But QuikTrip tests the last mile. The one step in the logistics chain where almost everything that goes wrong with retail fuel actually goes wrong in the real world. Cross-contamination happens in transit when a tanker carries different grades on different runs. Wrong grade loads happen at the terminal handoff when a loader clicks the wrong valve. Water gets in during transfer when a seal fails. QuikTrip assumes every one of those failures can happen on any given day, and they catch it at the truck before it becomes your problem. Translation: by the time QuikTrip fuel hits the pump you are holding in your hand, it has been verified by more human hands and more physical tests than the gasoline at almost any other station in the United States. Bottom line, QuikTrip is the quiet gold standard of the American pump. If you live near one and you are filling up somewhere else out of habit, you are making a worse financial and mechanical decision every single week of the year, and you probably did not even know it until right now. Here is the uncomfortable truth the fuel industry has been sitting on for 2 decades. Every gallon you pump is a gamble, except at a very small number of stations run by companies that decided somewhere along the way that their reputation was worth more than a nickel of margin per gallon. Costco, ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, QuikTrip. 5 names, that is the entire list. Everybody else is either meeting the legal minimum, trusting a terminal they do not control, or hoping nobody ever pulls a sample out of their underground tank and sends it to a lab. The automotive engineers who wrote the top-tier specification in 2004 did it because they were watching warranty claims pile up for carbon-related engine problems on cars still under 30,000 miles on the odometer. They knew the EPA detergent minimum was not enough. They said it out loud in engineering papers, in industry conferences, and in the owner's manuals of the cars you now drive. And the industry for the most part shrugged and kept selling the cheap stuff. Here is the final piece of wisdom that will save you thousands of dollars in fuel system repairs over the life of your car. Call it the 10-cent rule. If a top-tier station is within a reasonable drive of wherever you happen to be, and the price difference is under 30 cents a gallon, you buy the top-tier fuel. Every single time. No exceptions, no excuses, no just this once. Over 100,000 miles, you are looking at maybe $400 in extra fuel costs total. Against one injector replacement at a modern dealership, which can run you $800 to $1,500 per injector on a direct injection engine with 4, 6, or 8 of them sitting in a row to replace. Against an intake valve walnut blasting service that runs $600 to $1,000 and requires pulling the intake manifold off the engine. Against a full fuel system cleaning that the dealer will happily charge you $300 for and tell you to come back in 20,000 miles. You do not save money at the cheap pump. You defer the bill. And the bill always comes due, and it always comes due on a Tuesday when you cannot afford it, and the dealer has you over a barrel. Hit subscribe if you want the truth about what is actually going into your tank in 2026, because the next investigation is already in production, and I promise you the industry is not going to like it one bit.